Baker, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're doing another one of those top 3 best and worst Doctor Who story video. We're doing the top 3 worst stories of the 6th Doctor. Now I felt quite bad for doing this because Colin Baker, he gets a lot of hate, and I don't think a lot of it is justified really. I mean, there was a lot of, there was a lot of stuff going on at the BBC at the time, with like the hiatus, the inconsistent writing, Colin Baker getting fired, and he gets a lot of, he gets a lot of hate, and I don't think it's justified because he is a brilliant Doctor, and he's one of the best actors to have played the Doctor. He brings a real theatricality to the role, and he just owns every scene that he's in, and he's brilliant. And for the most part, I quite like his era. I think he's got some cracking stories and some cracking moments. But obviously, with how the BBC were treating the series at the time, and I mean, just how inconsistent it was and how the production was just all over the place, obviously there are going to be some misses, and oh boy, some of these stories we've got are just, really not good. So let's get to them. Number 3, Terror of the Vervoids. So the first story we're going to talk about is Terror of the Vervoids from Trial of the Time Lord season 23. Now, this one is not as bad as the other two that I'm going to talk about, but it's still pretty weak. It is a sort of whodunit on a spaceship, so yeah, and it's just quite boring, to be honest. I don't remember any of the characters. The murder mystery plot isn't really that good because you find out the murderer is the character like in the background, basically. Like, he's a character who you've barely seen in the episode, so it doesn't hold any sort of weight to it when it's revealed. The Vervoids are a rubbish monster. Like, they just look naff, man. They really do. It's also the first story which features Bonnie Langford as Mel, as the new companion, and I don't particularly think Mel's a great companion, to be honest, and obviously she's always screaming all the time, and I don't think she's the best of companions, so yeah, there's just not a lot to this story that I remember. It's just really forgettable. I do quite like Colin's costume, like the yellow cravat. And oh wait, it's this figure as well. Yeah, this is the costume that Colin has, the yellow cravat and like the pink stripy waistcoat. I quite like this costume for the 6th Doctor. Number 2, the Twin Dilemma. Yes, and number 2, we've got what's often cited as the worst Doctor Who story in its history, the Twin Dilemma. I wouldn't say it's the worst. You know what episode I think that is? It's Hellbent, in case you didn't know. But it's still pretty awful. First of all, it's a dreadful way to introduce the 6th Doctor, and it does Colin Baker a disservice by, having him so arrogant and he's just a really arrogant sod. He's just dismissive of everyone. He's just rude to people constantly. You got the bit where he strangles Perry, which has been mischaracterised. I mean, it was because of regeneration trauma. I'm still not going to defend it because it's still a terrible moment. Dreadful performances throughout, especially from the twins. Really rubbish villains. I mean, you've got a slug dude and some person with silver paint in his face. Like, half these characters here, I don't even remember who they were. And it's just so boring and devoid of anything interesting at all. And I don't enjoy it in any way. Not even in a so bad it's good way, like Time and the Rani perhaps. I just don't enjoy it at all. Number 1, Time Lash. And at number 1 we have Time Lash. Oh boy. Oh, this story is just dreadful. I mean, it's got one of the worst productions in Doctor Who. Like, the sets are so naff. The effects are just abysmal. The whole Time Lash thing is literally just a little box with like Christmas decorations hanging from it, and the people get chucked into it with this fade effect that I could do myself. The direction as well is just so flat and boring. It's not made in any way sort of dynamic or interesting. Or the scenes in the TARDIS as well, they seem to go on for a long time. Like, in part 1 there's a lot of stuff in the TARDIS with the Doctor and Perry. It just seems to go on forever and ever and ever. You also got the H.G. Wells stuff, which I just don't find interesting. And the plot of the episode, it's the most generic Doctor Who story ever. It is literally the classic sort of, there's a civilization, oppressed people, rebels, a horrible leader, robots, some historical figure gets chucked into it. It is, where have you seen that premise before? Loads of times. I can name a few off the top of my head. Macra Terror, Events on Varos, Happiness Patrol. There's plenty, you know. Long Game, that's another one. There's so many Doctor Who stories with that kind of premise. And this one, it's just not, there's nothing unique about it, is there? Even the robots are naff in this story. Like, even the 60s stories, like the Crotons, have better robots than this story. Not even Colin Baker could save this episode. I mean, it's no fault of his own. He's doing the best he can with his script, and whenever he's on screen, he really does his best, and he does own the screen. But it's the way he's written in this story. He's written really poorly. Like, he's really horrible to Perry, and when he's with the Borat, who's the guy with like the half hippopotamus face, who's the only kind of notable thing about the story, some of the dialogue is just so out of character. Like, he's saying nobody likes you because you're different and you're ugly, and that's not. The Doctor doesn't judge people from external appearances. Like, that's not what the Doctor does. It's just really out of character. So yeah, one of the worst Doctor Who stories ever, and I do not want to revisit it. I mean, to be fair, it could have been this or Twin Dilemma. They could have been either way around, but I think Time Lash is just that little bit worse. So that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. What are some of your least favourite Colin stories, or what are some of your favourite Colin stories? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell so you know it's a thing. And this is Clack of the Geek, signing out.